right. So, with the understanding, with the law of assumption and quantum superposition, we know that every version of you, of me, the healed, wealthy, divine, all of that already exists. There's nothing that has to be created. I don't have to create a new blueprint of that because it's, first of all, foundational scientific law that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And this is also relative to that. Within these laws specifically, we have an understanding that we just align with what we already know to be true. So it's important to understand one of my favorite Bible verses, Jeremiah 29:11. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your good and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. I also think about how Rev Priestess Osun Kemibi referenced Urumala within this aspect, because it's also thinking about the Odu. The Odu, the holy Odu within Ifa is a corpus of 256 possibilities in which we can experience. And even when somebody gets their Odu read, there are still within that verse so many aspects of so many as I can't. Thank you. I had a package. I've been waiting on that shit since last week. The fuck. Um, Within this, we are able to have the understanding and focus that even with what we are given and what we know to be true, there is still the certain desire to align with whatever reality that is. Okay, so understand that you are a continuous blueprint of what your ancestors have started, and understand that with what has already been chosen by your Ori, even before you came to this earth, because your Ori chose the destiny that you're living, chose your parents, chose the literally any experience that you're choosing. And if there's anything that you're going through that you feel like it's not unfavorable, that you feel is unfavorable, then you go to Ori to address that, right? Because Ori is the reason why you chose this compared to that person, which is another reason why we don't want to compare ourselves to other people, because you really don't know what the fuck they got going on. You don't know their trials, you don't know their tribulations, you don't know what their Ori chose from them, even for what they want to show on the external aspect. The internal is a whole different conversation, which we've already addressed within the law of vibration and the law of resonance. So, within this conversation of the law of assumption and quantum superposition, we know that your beliefs, your emotions, your expectations determine which experience you choose to decide within your reality. We understand that conscious is creative, and we have to know that this predates any external or outer manifestation or reality. Again, superposition describes the aspect in which particles can exist and the multiple potential states until they are observed. Within this case, we know that observation of this expression helps to know how the particle react. Within a spiritual point of view, you can just simply say that it's your consciousness that is the observer of your reality. Okay, it's your thoughts, it's your emotional assumptions that serves as the mechanism to really understand the quote unquote version of yourself versus what you actually live to be true. So, Again, when Jesus is saying, according to your faith, let it be unto you, he's saying this physical principle, your faith, your inner assumption determines how your outcome manifests. When we are speaking about the law of assumption, we have to know that if your assumption of lack aligns with you, then lack will follow. If your assumption of abundance aligns with you, then then divine abundance will follow. If you assume that healing aligns with you, then healing will be prepared in whatever way that looks like. We start to notice things, at least little signatures, such as finding better healthcare providers or healthcare providers that might align with you in relation to the healing aspect. Or you might, find yourself with the root doctor. So you're booking yourself with her so you can start the conversation of what you need to do. You're welcome. Okay. So little things. It's the little things to know. Listen, it's the little things to know how to move, when to move. And it's even simple. One of the easiest things to relate to will always be money and love when we're having these conversations. They seem to be the easiest to where, one, we have all experienced it, and two, that one home girl. It's like, girl, why are you still with him? Girl, stand up. You don't want better for yourself? Or leave that job, but you haven't because it's a paycheck, despite how it's affecting your health. So, again, having the understanding of alignment knows that it's consistent, right? Because you must consistently align yourself with the energy that you are assuming that you want for yourself. James tells us that the one who doubts is like a wave of sea blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. So, your stability in your faith has a coherent energy that allows for your inner self, your energy, okay? Energy. That was Ea from earlier. She in my head. Understanding the correspondence of the version that you will naturally know to be. Okay? So if God, Olimare, Big G, the creator of all things, created your higher self, what part of your current mindset, your fear, or your identity is resisting that? Okay, that's the conversations that we need to be having when we're asking. These are the conversations we need to be having when we are talking about aligning to our greatest good. You also have to understand, again, like we said, faith. It's consistent. It's not something that just feels good for the moment. It's going to allow a lifestyle, not a hobby, not for a like or a trend or just so you can get some money. It's so you can allow yourself to understand the relationships that you are building with yourself and the spirits around you. We have to understand that, again, these are not imaginary or pseudoscience conversations. This is reality. I've given you studies already to support this, as well as the physical evidence of just being a Black person in America. And those watching this, those hearing this, can also testify to your own experiences of what has already been described. What's important to understand is that when your mind visualizes a certain goal, your brain starts to activate itself, filtering external to match the internal assumption. Again, studies have shown this as recent as 2007. When we understand this, we know that you can begin to perceive the world differently because of that faith based focus that starts in your mind. And this also brings up the conversation of neuroplasticity, which is one of the foundational aspects that I teach my students when they come into the temple, because it starts with the mind, it starts with the uri. Because we can give you all these rituals, we can give you all these Orisha to work with, we can give you all these things, the best medicine in the world, right? But you still got to get out your own head, out your own shit, out your own trauma, out your own whatever the fuck to do what needs to be done. And I'm not just saying this as an elder within the community, I'm saying this as somebody who's fucking been there. Which is why I can speak to these things. Because remember, being a priest doesn't mean you have a perfect life. It means that you're able to go through life perfectly. So, if you know that in this reality, you got a healed you and an unhealed you, an abundant you and not, a divine you and whatever else, if you know these things to be true, why not do your best to align with the one that is most desirable to what you want to experience? Which is why we have to understand that, again, you must be transformed by the renewing of your mind, as Romans 12:12 instructs us to do. Repeated assumptions of the healed you or the abundant you teaches the brain new ways to support your health, your confidence, your peace. Understand these things. So please know that your identity, it starts again with your ori. It literally starts at the neurological level. Psychoneural immunology reports have also shown that your emotional and spiritual states directly influence your immune function and your physical health. This is important to understand because alignment within peace isn't just something that's spiritually sound, but it's also restorative at the anatomic level. When we understand that peace is our medicine, when we understand that faith and prayer is how we can be in harmony with spirit, we know that we can start to align with the spiritual protection as well as the biological balance of our intentions. So, again, prayer, meditation, gratitude, and being mindful of what you consume, not just what you eat, not just what you drink, who you spend your time with, right? What TV you watch, what movies you watch, what music you listen to. So your lifestyle has to match your faith too. So your cells can align with that. It's important to understand that your body listens. Your body listens, okay? And your body absorbs every thought, every emotion. That's why I said you need to be careful about the things that you speak on, the things that you consume, the things that you think.